Good morning, everybody. Well, here we are, another Monday in January. I'm not a big January fan, as y'all can tell. I always say January feels like it's like 85 days long. And the end of January blessed us with a nice cold spell and a little bit of snow. Um, but on a positive, it's the last Monday of January. Next week we'll be hitting February. We've gotten to the point in winter where the days are going to start getting longer. So that's a positive with more light and things like that. So I'm pretty excited for that. Um, One thing I wanted to talk to you guys about in today's coffee bean, well, there's several things, but the first thing is, when we get these cold temperatures like we've had the last few days, it's really important that you guys dress so you're not freezing. Okay. Um, you know, Wear coats, wear shoes, not slides, wear sweatpants, not shorts, because you just never know, if we had some reason to evacuate the building and you're out there freezing, I would feel awful for you. So please make sure you guys are dressing um, in a smart way in case we had to go outside for any particular reason. Um, the last few weeks I've been talking to you, and my coffee beans have been longer than I ever want them to be, and I apologize for that. So today I'm trying to make it a little shorter for you. But I've been talking to you about a series of things, and basically I'm trying to encourage you guys to stop doing some of your old habits and start embracing new positive habits. And 2 weeks ago I talked about the blame game and how we use blame to try and get out of things that we need to be doing. And then last week I talked a lot about excuses. And rather than face our fears, rather than face our things that we have to do in front of us, we make excuses for why we can't do them or won't do them. And I see it every day out of myself. I see it out of every day of adults, of kids, of all walks of life. And it's something we all need to get better at, is not making excuses. And I met with a class last week and I talked to them a lot about habits. And when you come to the Aram Center, you have certain habits either you've learned or you've had to do in order to make sure you could survive what you were involved in at another school or another place or what have you. And those habits are hard to break, but they are breakable. And habits aren't always a bad thing. And habits can be reset to better habits or newer habits. And right now, the habits that I'm seeing around school are just frustrating. They're frustrating for your staff. They're frustrating for the people who care about you. They're frustrating for your classmates. They get frustrated with the same thing over and over again, and you not making the adjustment that you need to make to be the best you. Okay. And the interesting thing is, when I talked to this class last week, they gave lots of input on their habits and the things that they need to do to improve on. And, we had to take breaks in our conversation because they started to talk about each other and their habits and the things they do that are frustrating, which I believe in holding people accountable. I believe in having a high standard and sticking to that standard. But I also believe that we need to do it in a way that we can make our classmates, our people who we are around all day, feel like a worthy person. Because every single one of us is a worthy person. And when we don't give them that basic human respect, we're not treating them as a worthy person. And I don't care who you are, where you live, where you come from, you're all worthy people. And we need to start making it a habit of treating each other like we're worthy people. Okay? Um, you know, and that talk we had, you guys did well for a while, but how long will you do well? You know, how long will you make it that you are going to follow through with the things you say you can do better? Um, Interrupting people in class, blurting out, making noises. Those are things that you guys identified as habits you have that you need to correct. And you need to have new habits. Raising your hand, not talking back to your teachers. I really think we focused on the skill of how to talk to someone when you don't agree with them without causing yourself more of an issue by the way you talk to them. Okay? We've talked time and time again about your points, and you guys, it makes me feel good that your points are something you value and you get upset when you don't get the points that you want. But if I do an evaluation of one of our staff members, or my boss does an evaluation of me, and I get that evaluation and I'm like, I feel like I'm better than the way they evaluated me. And if I go to my boss and I throw a fit and I slam my book on his desk and say, I got screwed on my evaluation because I didn't get a warning about this, or I didn't get that, or I didn't, I'm going down that excuse train again. And my boss isn't going to take that. And that bad evaluation I had is probably going to be something even worse than a bad evaluation. And I don't want that for myself. I've found that taking that time, talking to that person later on when emotions aren't high, works out really well for you. And you may not get the points that you thought you earned, but you'll get a clarification from your staff member on why they gave you those points. And when I hear them talk to you about why they gave you those points, it's pretty darn accurate. You guys are doing great things, but unfortunately, sometimes the old habits that break in here take away from those great things that you're doing. And I'm challenging you this week to start developing better habits than you had before you came to the Aram Center. A lot of you, your attendance has been better here than it's ever been before. And that's a great habit to have, is attendance. Some of you need to work on being here at a better time. And I say that because you're showing up 40 minutes late every day, and sometimes it's your fault, sometimes it's your ride's fault, what have you. But, that's 40 minutes of a class you're missing out on, and those are concepts you're going to need to be successful down the road. I've talked to some of you how you're like, yeah, I'd like to try Kearney High next year. If you're coming late to Kearney High every day, you're not going to be able to do the things you want to do. If you want to be in extracurriculars, if you want to be in athletics, if you want to be in activities, those are the things you're going to be held accountable for. And you're not going to be able to blame people. You're not going to be able to have those excuses. But what you are going to be able to do is get that skill of positive habits that you can use to make yourself successful. Okay? All of you here can be a great success. All of you here can make mistakes, because I guarantee you today that I'm going to make mistakes. In fact, I've already made 2 this morning and it's still early. But I'm going to learn from my mistakes. I'm going to develop the skills to have the habits that are aligned with the philosophy we have at the Aram Center. We always talk about how we want to meet you where you're at and get you to where you want to go. And that's not easy. But to get you there, we're going to have the proper skills, and we'll continue to work on that with you. But you guys have got to have the ownership for those skills and for those habits. So if you continue to have the habits you have that you're using when things don't go your way, it's going to make it more difficult for you. It's easy to get gold at the Aram Center. It's easy to not have any missing work because you have plenty of time to get things done. You know, if you fill out your notes, you know, if you give effort on your quizzes and tests, that things are going to go well for you. The expectations and skills we have for you here are laid out. There are no surprises. You guys don't walk in the door and think, oh, I never knew that. No, we have that for you. We've taught you that. And the ones here that have bought in, that are doing that, are the ones that are leaving at 2 o'clock every week and don't have missing work. If you don't buy in and you continue the bad habits that you've brought with you from somewhere else, it's going to be a struggle for you, and that success won't be there for you. So my challenge to you this week, we've talked about blame, we've talked about excuses, but start recreating your habits to help you be a greater success story at the Aram Center and outside of the Aram Center, okay? And make sure that you know that the staff here sees you, we hear you, and we love you. And like I always say, if no one's told you this today yet, you know, you are loved. And your teachers love you, and I love you. And even on the days where you're having your toughest day and you're not yourself, we still love you, and we still want what's best for you. So let's have a great week. Let's be good to one another. You know, in the world today, there's some days where all we see on the news are things that are negative and sad. And the one thing you can do is you can make the difference of being good to the people around you. And that's a big challenge. So positive habits moving forward are going to make us a better school. And let's have a great week, okay?